As soon as Taylor Swift got engaged to Travis Kelce, the right tried to claim her as one of their own. But is she now a tradwife, or is her marriage a feminist dream? I'm Amanda Marcotte. Welcome to Standing Room Only. When Taylor Swift announced her engagement to Kansas City tight end Travis Kelce, it broke the internet. And there were plenty of normal ways to react. You could be excited.
Oh my God! I get to announce that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are engaged. I feel like Paul Revere right now.
So this is Christmas. Taylor Swift is engaged! She's engaged!
You can be indifferent too. I mean, what's wrong with you? But
Taylor Swift is engaged to Travis Kelce. Yeah, that happened.
Oh, is that new? I mean, they've been dating forever.
I don't know. And if you wonder, they're engaged.
I should send him like a Rich Eisen Show mug. What do you think? You need your coffee in the morning.
I don't think you should do that.
Why not? Why not?
I don't know.
I want to show my love for them.
Sure. I mean, you've done it.
I don't care about Taylor Swift. She's not in my algorithm. I've weeded her out, and now she'll be back in it because my phone is listening.
I think there should be a hard limit on being a grump. Things are really hard in America right now. Let people have their fun. The engagement photos were cute. The wedding's gonna be even more amazing. Let people feel this excitement. Either reaction is better than how MAGA pundits and influencers responded, by praying this would be the end of the alleged marriage boycott being imposed on young women by feminism.
Despite all of the talk about how marriage is a patriarchal institution, marriage robs women of their identity, I've yet to see anybody, literally anybody, on the left talking about why it's so terrible for Taylor Swift to get engaged and married.
We should be rooting for her to set a good example for women and men around the world. These weddings, these marriages, they have the power to change culture. A couple of years ago, we had Sophia Richie's wedding, which basically made so many women, decide that they wanted to get married and have kids, that they wanted to stop dressing like hoes.
I think the greatest contribution they could make to Western civilization at this point would be to have a bunch of babies and persuade all these people who mindlessly follow them to also have a bunch of babies.
I think we might have to give Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift a Nobel Peace Prize for potentially reversing this fertility crisis and ending the gender war.
These guys are like the worst people at everyone's wedding. Charlie Kirk had an especially weird reaction. I think it's important to include this. I fully condemn what happened, but we mustn't forget what he stood for or the views that he transmitted to millions of followers.
We have a fertility crisis here in the West. We're having less and less children.
Fewer.
It's a major issue, and having the #1 pop star, which regardless if you're a fan or not, you have to admit, she's got a huge audience, now celebrating marriage and saying that they want to have children, I think that is awesome. This is something that I hope will make Taylor Swift more conservative. Engage in reality more and get outside of the abstract clouds. Reject feminism. Submit to your husband, Taylor. You're not in charge.
It's also important because Taylor is 35 years old, and one thing that conservatives are really mad about is that women are waiting for marriage. Charlie was especially outspoken in urging women to marry young.
I'm Addie, and I'm 14. I'm a freshman in high school.
I think there is an argument to bring back the MRS degree. I say college is a scam, but if you're going to find your life partner, that's actually a really good reason to go to college.
This clip matters because it really gets to why MAGA can't be normal about Taylor and Travis getting engaged. In recent years, there's this myth rising on the right that women are deliberately avoiding marriage, and they blame Taylor for this alleged wedding boycott.
Okay, Taylor Swift writes an incredible breakup song. And then as a result, you have millions of married, happy mothers screaming the lyrics about breaking up with their man because that's what Taylor was doing.
If she's so wonderful and she's so great and she's so sweet, why hasn't any man stepped up to the plate to marry her?
What is virtuous about her for young women to glean? Date as many men as possible, complain all the time, ruin men's lives.
She hasn't started a family. She's in her mid-30s.
You have no kids. Like, it's a
She can play
terrible role
basic
model.
chords. She has a lot of pull and a large influence. And I think instead of telling young girls to be single, to break up with their boyfriends, she has a real opportunity to promote conservative values.
They obviously think women are so stupid. Oh, a breakup song. I guess I heard a breakup song. I need to leave my husband. How dumb do they think women are? It would be really weird if Taylor was anti-marriage. I sometimes DJ at weddings, and Taylor's music is in high demand because she writes all these songs about love and longing. Her song Lover has become standard cake-cutting music. What's happening here is that marriage rates have fallen in recent decades, and people are getting married later than they used to. It's also true that on average, women say they prioritize getting married less than men do. And women are more likely to say they're happy being single than men are. Right-wingers are mad about this, and in their desperation, they blame Taylor for being a bad influence on gullible young women. But women aren't rejecting men or marriage. Most women are open to falling in love and getting married if the right person comes along. What's funny is Taylor and Travis are living the feminist dream. Is there any doubt that Taylor is going to keep making music after she gets married? For his part, Travis is an almost too perfect model of what feminists want from men. He's not resentful of his fiance's success or her independence. He's loudly proud of her and her accomplishments. She even went on his podcast to announce her upcoming album. I'll be speaking about this more during Pass the Mic with my guest, Liz Lenz. Just listen to the way that Swifties are talking about this. They aren't mad that Taylor is getting married. They're not anti-marriage. They're just glad that she's with somebody who likes and supports her.
We see how bad it can be to be with the wrong partner.
It's just so clear to the public their connection and their respect for each other and the love they have for each other.
The fact that he has made her feel so comfortable, you know, being public again and celebrating their love like loudly and just feeling so safe, I guess. I want to express gratitude to him for that.
Travis was at her tour. He was at concert after concert after concert. He even, performed in one of the Eras Tour shows. So this shows that it's not just one-sided support, it's mutual support of each other's interests.
Don't listen to Andrew Tate for dating advice. Listen to these women who are just like, just come to my shit. If MAGA influencers wanted marriage rates to go up, they would spend a lot less time yelling at Taylor and a lot more time telling men to be like Travis. If they did that, women might start to like them. They might start to get more dates. Their relationships might suck less. But all that would reduce men's alienation. MAGA influencers need men to be angry and lonely. That's how they build up their audiences. There's no money to be made telling men to grow up. Way too many dudes don't want to hear that. They would rather hear that the meanie feminists have tricked all the hot girls into boycotting romance. The last thing that MAGA influencers want is for their audiences to shape up and start treating women better. That's their game. Encourage their followers to screw up their lives and then laugh all the way to the bank. Whee! It's also true that Taylor makes money by packaging her life as entertainment. But there is one big difference. She's telling her fans to respect themselves. She wants to make her audience happy. In return, they're happy for her. It's so refreshing, people just being nice to each other. The right should try it sometime. My guest today is Liz Lenz. She's the author of This American Wife, and she also runs a Substack called Men Yell at Me, which is the greatest Substack name ever. Welcome to Standing Room Only, Liz.
Thank you so much for having me on.
I brought you on because we both wrote about the Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce engagement. And I think we both kind of wrote about it as this like feminist fantasy of the husband that supports you and respects you and doesn't resent you. I think I was a little bit more optimistic, or at least neutral, on whether this was possible. You were a little bit more pessimistic about this fantasy and whether it can be realized for women. So I want to start by talking about this as a feminist fantasy, why you think it's a fantasy, and how you feel about it.
Well, I mean, I think we got to separate the personal from the structural, right? And then, personally, good luck to you out there. And I think we should all, live with hope and dreams and have those beautiful fantasies for our lives. However, I think structurally and systemically, that dream is almost impossible. I think even if you go into it with good intentions with a partner who is supportive, at least in the beginning, we live in a country where, unlike Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, like people don't make money, and women make less money because they're more likely to be hourly wage earners and more likely to, work in professions that are paid less because women work in them. That's why they're paid less. And then so when it comes time to like have kids or split up chores, there's still this idea that those are the women's jobs. And we see in even like studies that say like, okay, take a household where the woman is the breadwinner, right? And like the data on that is really depressing because it shows that like women who are the breadwinners in their homes, they still do more child care than their partner, even if that partner is a stay-at-home partner, right? Like, so even if he's a stay-at-home dad, they're still doing a lot of the childcare, a lot of the domestic labor. And, the opposite is not true. Like if a man's a breadwinner, he's doing like nothing. There's just all these systemic and cultural forces that make that fantasy really hard to achieve, even if you have a supportive partner. And I think we can't forget that when we look at marriage, because there's so much out there in our culture right now that's like, just get married. It'll solve all your problems. Like, don't you want to like stay at home and bake bread instead of like answering email? And it's like, and I can say, P.S. like I was a Tradwife for a while, and I think it just means like out of work and had babies, but and married to a Republican, but like neither fantasy really holds up to the scrutiny.
Yeah, the thing about, we watched a lot of videos of women, of Swifties having their big reactions to the engagement. And one thing that struck me watching a lot of them is that they seem to get that this was a fantasy, that it's easy for a billionaire who is probably like one of the most popular women in the world to like nail the great guy, and that might be a little harder for the rest of us.
But also like, Michelle Wolf has this like really great bit when women are like, oh, see, it can happen to me, and she's like, no, that's like a blonde billionaire. When it happens to like a poor introvert with 50 cats, like, then you can say it can happen to me. And I saw that. I was like weeping with laughter. But like, I also think it's worth pointing out it hasn't been easy for her. Like she's had all these like high profile relationships that, are we to believe the music? And I don't. Like she's an artist. She is good at her craft. I trust that, there is a mixture of fantasy and fiction in there. Like I believe in her as a writer, actually. So I'm not going to be like, it's all true. And that was Joe Jonas, and he needs to, go to HE double hockey sticks. I mean, maybe he does. But like, you should never envy anybody's relationship because you have no idea what goes on behind the scenes,
No, I think that's true. And I think it's also kind of true that just... It's funny to me that the guy she did get engaged to is the sort of man that is almost impossible to emasculate. Like all these conservative,
so tall.
all these conservative commenters tried, but he's huge. He's a football player. He's not only a football player, he's like an iconically excellent football player. And so, like, what are they going to say about, like, I think he can feel secure in his manhood the way that a lot of men who maybe mean well, like, they get all these cultural messages that having a woman who's successful somehow takes something away from them. And for him, he's just like, what could you possibly take away from me? I have a Super Bowl ring.
It was funny when I heard about the engagement, I was like, oh, this is a recession indicator, like... Like billionaires need help, with the rent. Like it's over. The economy is in the toilet,
I love the cynicism. They could just be in love. But I will say the jock is usually one that you just sort of like date for a little bit and then toss aside, in my experience. So it's kind of an interesting choice to make that the one.
I mean, it's amazing how much money helps, I think, situations. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to fight over who's doing the laundry. You don't have to fight over who's, feeding the cats. Like, you don't have to fight over who's going to wash the floors. Like, money is a great equalizer. Even if he was, like, the biggest misogynist in the world, he's going to look equal because he's marrying somebody who makes more money than him and is more popular than him. Which, God bless. I mean, he does a great job. No shade to the man. But, there is that power imbalance. But I think that money can solve a lot of problems. I mean, like, a normal person wouldn't be able to date someone who was constantly on tour.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't afford to fly out on a private jet to go see them, in the Super Bowl or something like that. Like, money... What we're talking about is money here. Like, and that's why it's so inaccessible. Like, why this fantasy is so inaccessible to everybody else, because you need money to fulfill what they have.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like the right is saying that this is somehow going to cause a baby boom or a marriage boom. And I think that that's misunderstanding why people get married. But it's also we got to have a hard limit on the idea that this is going to work in the other direction, because the reality is people get married or date for their own reasons, and they might enjoy the fantasy, but these people just don't live our lives. They just can't.
Right. And I mean, we're seeing right now we're at a point in history where there are more women single than married. Like, that is huge. And we are seeing people intentionally, specifically women, opt out of the dating pool. And it's because right now, I think our culture is full of these gendered resentments, specifically gendered male resentments that are nasty and disgusting. And anybody, I mean, and I mean that systemically in our culture, the laws that are being proposed and passed, right? The executive orders, these are, I mean that, but I also mean on an interpersonal level. The day I found out about the Taylor Swift engagement was the day after I had been broken up with by somebody I'd been dating for 6 months. And this is a person who has a great job, a lot of money, family money. Let's just be clear. Because we're being petty. And
be petty.
Be petty. But and part of the reason
Taylor would say so.
Yes, she would. I love her so much. But it was just and part of the reason, they were just after being so serious for 6 months, and I don't casually date anymore because I don't have time. I'm a busy woman. I write books. I am doing all this other stuff and parenting. I don't have time to just go have a mediocre date or fling. I just give me a night in bed with a bowl of pasta. If you can beat that, then I'll go out on a date with you. So this is something, and so it was it was all these things no. And we're intellectual equals and everything's fine. And then all of a sudden it was I'm uncomfortable with what you do. I don't like your writing. And this was never that serious. And it, and I was kind of whatever. Thank you for my free time back. But it was interesting to juxtapose that, right? Here is an educated liberal man who considers himself a nice guy, right? And it's still difficult, and it's still, and there's still those resentments, right? There's still that and you think oh, it's fine. We've overcome this. We're all adults. We're all intellectuals. And then at the end of the day, it's you earn how much doing what? And I'm yeah, I work really hard. It's rough out there, I think, systemically and personally is what I'm trying to say. And people feel that. And millennial, I think this is a problem with millennial and Gen Z women, but like we're not so stupid. We're not like, oh, Taylor Swift got married, therefore I'm going to get married. You know, we're not like a bunch of lemmings.
No, not at all. So one reason I wanted to talk to you specifically, Liz, is not only did you write a book about divorce, which was awesome, but also you are a big country western fan. And I think one thing that's been lost a little bit in the discussion about Taylor Swift's pop music is that even though she's a pop artist, she started as a country artist and has a lot of roots in the country tradition. So because we love to talk about music on this show, how do you see kind of her personal stuff like in this country western tradition?
I mean, she's still a country music singer. Like even her pop songs still come from that like genre of like writing about heartbreak, writing about, like even the murder ballad, the country lady murder ballad. I mean, she's got Nobody, No Crime, right? Like there is like she's a girl from Tennessee. She is a blonde girl from Tennessee. Like she cannot help being who she is. And I think that like it'll be interesting to see because, Dolly Parton did this very successfully where she had that where she was able to have that long-term relationship, but still play with that image of love and heartbreak. But like, I think she was only able to do it because she like kept her husband locked in the basement or something. God bless Carl.
Her insanely hot husband.
Yes. Which like good for her. I would love a hot, like that's a dream. The husband in the attic, like not the mad woman in the attic. It's just the hot husband in the attic. I would love that. And, but like she, it'll be interesting to see how like those tropes then come into play and how people talk about her music differently. But yeah, she is still like very much in that genre. And one thing that I think about when we think about that genre is like a lot of times observers can make the mistake of saying, oh, this person's, when Shelley Wright sings about, did I shave my legs for this? It's like, oh, she's critiquing the heterosexual norms. No, she's not. Like, no, she's not. She is saying this one guy was bad, right? And that's the difference, I think, between, like an Alanis Morissette or a Shelley Wright or something where it's like one critiques a system, another just said, I had a bad breakup. And so I think we have to, like, as observers and critics and deep thinkers, you have to make the difference between, like, was Taylor Swift really critiquing the system all along, or was she just writing about personal experience? And because this personal experience was bad and reflected our own, we're taking it as a systemic critique. And so my preference would be to think that like she's writing less of a systemic critique and more of just like out of that tradition of writing about like love and heartbreak, because it's like the chicks, even in Goodbye Earl on that, that album, it's like, there's the Goodbye Earl, and then a couple songs later it's like, hello Mr. Heartbreak, I've been expecting you. They get right back into it.
And Cowboy Take Me Away.
Oh,
it's
that's
like
right.
This romantic.
Yes. Yeah. And then we'll look forward to Taylor Swift's divorce album in a couple of years. I can't wait.
I mean, that would be awesome.
Oh my
We're
God.
pro-divorce on this show.
I mean, I don't want their relationship to fail. Like they seem so happy. However, a Taylor Swift divorce album would be the best thing that has happened to women in America.
That's amazing. So for our mic drop question, having already established that we can learn nothing from Taylor and Travis because they're so damn rich, I still want to ask, is there actual dating advice, real dating advice, or fun dating advice, any kind of dating advice you would draw from the relationship that actually is useful for ordinary women or men?
I wish men would be more like Travis. Like, you know what I mean? Like more cringe. Like more open emotionally. Because he was just like, I like this girl. I'm going to make her a bracelet and go to a concert. Like, awesome. Do that. Like, be lovers. Men, enter your lover era. Because, like, all we talk about right now in our country is like, men are mad and lonely and they're angry. And it's like, you could just make a bracelet and go to a concert. Like, nobody is making you feel this way except for, like, JD Vance. And you can turn that off. You can go have a fun little time, put some little glitter on. You can have a good time. You can be cringe and be successful and get the hot girl. Like, women will date the ugliest man in America if he's nice to her and makes her a bracelet. Like, the bar is so low, and yet you keep tripping over it, like, pick up your feet, make a bracelet, enter your lover era, and let's go. And for women, it's like, I think the advice is like, listen, if it was that hard for a hot blonde billionaire, like, just make yourself some pasta and go watch that new show Task by the guy who did Mayor of Easttown, because it's dark and people will die. So
I can't disagree with your advice for men. I think the only thing I would add is, like, for women, don't let anyone tell you can't have cats.
Cats, dogs, gerbils, llamas, whatever it takes, women, go for it. Make a whole petting zoo. A rare bonobo if you can get it. But laws aren't real. Get that Bengal tiger. Have a good life.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Liz. So hype yourself, your book, your newsletter one more time, your socials.
Yes. I write a newsletter called Men Yell at Me. It's, feminist takes on politics and pop culture, written from the middle of Iowa. And then I also, my most recent book is This American Ex-Wife. It's about my divorce. It's also a systemic critique of marriage, but there's hope at the end, I think. I hope. If not, there's at least a few bowls of pasta. So thank you.
Thank you. And don't forget, everyone, like and subscribe. It really helps us out. And stick around for Encore. You could probably guess what kind of music I'm going to be talking about.
Hey folks, I'm about to go into Eastern Pass Tattoo here in Philadelphia. I'm about to get another tattoo. Hopefully you'll see it in this episode. Obviously this episode's about Taylor Swift. And I am often asked by people if I like Taylor Swift. And it's interesting because it really taps into a long-standing conflict in the music geek world between what they call rockists and poptimists. Rockists are sort of characterized as these like old school, mostly male rock critics who treat rock music, maybe hip hop, as like the only legitimately artistic forms of popular music that are worth looking into. And then you have poptimists, people that argue that actually pop music has for a long time been the source of a great deal of artistic innovation and excellent songwriting. And I identify as a poptimist. Even though I love rock music, it is like my first love and probably my greatest love. I love pop music. I love Madonna. I love Chappell Rowan. I really love Charlie. And, Taylor Swift, I guess I didn't kind of get her entirely for a bit, but it was the Midnight's record that really resonated with me, was the first one, her 2022 record. And part of that is because I am a rockhead. And that is kind of her most rock and roll album. She co-wrote a lot of the songs with Jack Antonoff of the Bleachers. He brings a pop sensibility to rock and a rock sensibility to pop, and I really did like that about that album. And so the song recommendation of the week is Karma from the Midnight's album. I love that song. It's got a cool, low-key, danceable beat. It's a little bit new wave. It's a little bit electroclash. It's definitely kind of got a rock vibe. And I also just love the lyrics. They make me laugh. It's about her basically saying that karma is all to her benefit and she has really sort of won against all the people that hate her. And I do feel that is more true than ever with her engagement to Travis Kelce. So yeah, Encore Song of the Week, Karma by Taylor Swift.
If you want more Standing Room Only episodes, please hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Standing Room Only started as a newsletter and it's free to read. Click the link to subscribe. I love tips. These political battles are playing out in our local communities, your family, your school, your neighborhood. If you have a story, go ahead and drop me a line, leave it in comments, and don't forget to subscribe.